in Jordan, F-16s in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and surveillance aircraft from the UK and Greece. Now, in response, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and Foreign Ministry have vowed to defend their country, calling it the nation's inherent right to react ferociously to any act of aggression. Tensions, meanwhile, remain high as both sides keep military options very well on the table. Now we stay with the story where from sidelines President Masoud Pezeshkian to hardline strategist Ali Larijani taking charge, and Supreme Leader Khamenei where he is ordering multi-layered succession plans. Tehran is preparing for the unthinkable as we speak. Ballistic missiles, navy drills and fortified command chains show a nation ready for war even if its top leaders are hit. Here's a report.
Iran is preparing not just for conflict, but for survival. As the prospect of a direct confrontation with the United States looms, Tehran has entered what officials privately describe as continuity mode. Missile forces are on heightened alert. The Revolutionary Guard has intensified drills across land, sea and air, and the most striking change is political. President Masoud Pezeshkian has effectively been sidelined. Reports suggest he has been cut out of key security decisions, reduced to a largely symbolic role as Iran's unelected power centers take full control. Calling the shots now is Ali Larijani, a veteran politician and a former commander in the Revolutionary Guard Corps. Larijani has emerged as the regime's chief crisis manager, overseeing war preparations, internal security and diplomatic signaling. He's become the public face of Iran's hardline response as tensions escalate. At the very top, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is preparing for the unthinkable, in a move that underscores how seriously Tehran views the threat of war or assassination. Khamenei has reportedly ordered 4 layers of succession for every major military and government role that he personally appoints. Each senior commander and official now has multiple designated replacements, a chain of command designed to survive even decapitation strikes. It's a strategy rooted in survival, ensuring that even if top leaders are killed, the Islamic Republic continues to function, fight, and retaliate. Iran's military posture reflects that mindset. Ballistic missiles have been repositioned. Naval forces have rehearsed closing the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global oil supplies. All of this points to a stark reality. While diplomacy may still be alive on paper, Iran is preparing for war on the ground. A war in which the president barely figures, a war directed by Larijani, and a war planned with the assumption that the highest offices may not survive the first strike. Bureau Report, NDTV.
We now shift our focus to Eurasia, where Russia's invasion of Ukraine has virtually reshaped all of Europe's future. That's right. You talk about historic NATO expansion to a surge in defense spending and, of course, military coordination. The war has virtually transformed the continent's security landscape entirely. Meanwhile, here's how 4 years of conflict have changed Europe.
February 2022 changed Europe forever. The war launched by Russia against Ukraine shattered long-time assumptions about peace on the continent. Neutrality, once a shield, suddenly looked like a risk. In a historic shift, Sweden and Finland abandoned decades of military non-alignment and joined NATO. a move that extended the alliance's border with Russia by more than 1,000 kilometers. Across Europe, defense is no longer an afterthought. Germany overturned its post-World War II restraint, committing massive funds to rearm its military. Poland emerged as a frontline power, buying tanks, jets, and missiles at wartime speed. France and Britain have pushed for greater European military autonomy, while Eastern Europe has hardened its borders and defenses. The European Union itself has transformed, pooling weapons purchases and funding arms production. Europe's strategic innocence is gone. This is a continent that once believed war was history. 4 years on, Europe is more united, more militarized, and more wary than at any point since the Cold War. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Stay with the story where Russia reported on Monday that its forces had pounded Ukraine's energy facility yet again, while Ukraine on the same day, that's Monday of course, claimed that new offensive were resulting in successes for its armed forces. Now, the Russian Ministry of Defense said in its daily report on Monday that over the past day, Russian troops carried out strikes on transport, energy and fuel facilities used by Ukrainian forces. Now, its air defense units, Russia claims here, also destroyed 7 guided aerial bombs, 21 US-made HIMARS rockets, 1 Neptune cruise missile and 541 Ukrainian drones. Ukrainian Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky wrote on social media on the same day, in fact, that Ukrainian troops not only held the line in the southern theater, but they also achieved gains in offensive operations. Now, since late January, he said Ukrainian units have restored control of over about 400 square kilometers of territory and 8 settlements in the Oleksonayk direction. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin met on Monday with some of the widows whose husbands have been killed in the conflict with Ukraine, the 4-year-long grinding conflict at that, mind you. Russia, meanwhile, has not released figures on battlefield deaths since 2023 January. That's when it said more than 80 soldiers were killed in a Ukrainian strike, bringing total military deaths to Moscow has confirmed to just over 6,000. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, on the other side, said earlier this month that 55,000 Ukrainian troops have died in the war so far. Many, meanwhile, are also missing, according to Zelensky. We shift our focus to the UK, where former UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, has been released as the Epstein investigation deepens. That's right. Earlier, Metropolitan Police say a 72-year-old man, that's Mandelson in this case, was detained Monday at a Camden address on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Not only this, officers also carried out search warrants in Camden and Wiltshire. New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said on Tuesday that his cabinet would support any decision the British government may make to remove former Prince Andrew Mountbatten from the royal line of succession. Should the UK government remove him from a line of succession after they've completed all investigations, which is what the UK government's telling us to do, then they would do. If you know, you know, they'll look into it after the investigation results are clear. All we've signalled to them is that we should support that, Luxon told reporters in Auckland. He added that the bottom line is that no one is above the law, and once that investigation is closed, should the UK government decide they want to remove him from the line of succession, that's something we would support, he added.
The UK government's leading that work and that decision. All I've said is that we'll definitely support whatever they come to, and we would definitely support that. We've been in contact with the UK Cabinet Office over the last week or so, and our view is that the UK government have got all options on the table. Obviously, the investigation needs to close out before they would then pass legislation to remove him from the line of succession. The bottom line is no one's above the law, and once that investigation's closed, should the UK government decide they want to remove him from the line of succession, that's something we would support.
A photograph intended to illustrate students queuing at a university food bank in Ireland has sparked a wave of online racism targeting Indians. That's right. Now, the image on your screens currently accompanying a report on how rising living costs have, in fact, driven students to rely on a food pantry at the University of Galway. Shows a diverse group of students, as you see there on your television screens right now, waiting in line. But on social media, some users zeroed in on students of South Asian appearance, unleashing xenophobic attacks and unfounded claims that Indian students, well, they are taking advantage of free services. The Panamanian government has seized 2 ports at the entrances of the Panama Canal on Monday, according to a Hong Kong-based company. Now, this company has also operated them for decades. It's a move triggered by a final Supreme Court ruling that declared the company's concession unconstitutional. That's right. Now, a decree issued Monday authorized the Panama Maritime Authority to occupy the ports for reasons of urgent social interest. Now, this also includes all movable property within or even outside the Balboa and the Cristobal terminals, and specifically naming cranes, vehicles, computer systems and software. Now, a statement from the operator, C.K. Hutchinson, has said that the seized operations at the ports after government officials arrived and took them over, threatening criminal prosecution if the company did not comply. Here's more.
La Autoridad Marítima de Panamá, en representación del Estado, propietario de ambos puertos, tomó posesión de dichas instalaciones con estricto apego al derecho panameño y en resguardo de los intereses nacionales, recordando que se trata de una actividad estratégica para nuestra economía y fundamental para el comercio mundial.
We now take you to Latin America, where Venezuela's Attorney General on Monday said his office is playing a key role in implementing the government's recently approved amnesty law, which he believed would bring an end to the cycle of pain in the country. In an interview with Western media, Saab said prosecutors were reviewing lists of people to be released, which authorities say could very well lead to release or legal relief to hundreds of opposition figures, activists, journalists, and other detained for political reasons. Now, his office, Saab said, is working on a process that is ongoing and, in fact, being coordinated around the clock as we get to this broadcast. And here's the reaction.
El Ministerio Público juega un papel estelar en lo que significa la ejecución de la ley de amnistía, en tanto las solicitudes en base a la revisión de listas de quienes pueden ser sujetos a la ley de amnistía, que ya se sabe, ya eso está publicado en Gaceta Oficial en la tarde del día viernes.
Britain's Queen Camilla on Monday met with Giselle Pellicot following the recent release of French national's memoir that recounts her drugging and mass rape case. Sharing details of horror until now that largely been reserved for French courts, Pellicot has been publicly telling a story of survival and courage in her own words in the book and her first series of interviews since the landmark trial in 2024, in fact, turned her into a global icon against sexual violence and also imprisoned her husband, who knocked her out with drugs so other men could assault her body. Camilla and Pellicot met at the Clarence House, the official home of Camilla and King Charles III. Now, Pellicot's book, titled A Hymn to Life, Shame Has to Change Sides, was launched at London's Royal Festival Hall on Friday and released last week in 22 languages worldwide, mind you. The world's only flightless parrot species was one thought to be doomed by design. That's right, the kakapo is too heavy, too slow, and of course, frankly, too delicious to survive around predators and takes a shamelessly relaxed approach to reproduction. But on Tuesday, footage captured the rare moment a baby kakapo chick hatched in a nest on New Zealand's Codfish Island. Now, this came as the elusive birds, or should I say the reclusive birds' fate is teeters towards survival. An unlikely conservation effort has in fact coaxed the kakapo's population from 50 to more than 200 over just 3 decades. Now, the kakapo lives on 3 tiny remote islands of New Zealand's southern coast, and well, the chances to see them in the wild, needless to say, are scarce. It's time we submit to a short break. Much more lined up on the other side. Don't you go anywhere.
Number 7 has always pushed the limits of what's possible. And we're still doing it because we've made a product that goes backwards. Future Renew Serum is clinically proven to reverse visible signs of skin damage by up to 10 years. A futuristic product that makes things reverse? Welcome to the world of what could be. Future Renew from Number 7. Believe in possible. And now introducing the new Future Renew body range.
Felix, I brought dinner.
With Felix every day, yes, it's a fact. It's great to be a cat.
People can't believe what they get when they book a Secret Escapes holiday. That's why I'm here. Ooh. You see, even the best hotels have empty rooms. But because Secret Escapes keep it hush-hush, the hotel slippers these outrageously bookable deals. Secret Escapes. Pinch yourself.
With People's Postcode Lottery, there could be springtime winning for your postcode. In our March draws, you could win a share of £17.3 million.
2026, here I come. This is just next level.
For a chance to win, sign up before midnight on the 28th of February. A share of £17.3 million could be yours, but only if your door is in the draw.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, you're guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive an amazon.co.uk, M&S or dining out gift card worth £125. Visit postoffice.co.uk/over50s.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.
Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of the World Report. Viewers, on to updates from the Sportsverse now, where the US Olympic hockey team returned home to a hero's welcome, to say the least, in Miami after their historic gold medal win over Canada. Fans cheered as captain Austin Matthews reflected on ending a decades-long drought, saying it's been too long, we got the job done. Matthew Tkachuk described a congratulatory call from President Donald Trump as an honor, while Jack Hughes joked about losing his teeth. Now, the team signed autographs before boarding buses, gold medals in their hands. Here's more.
It's been too long. I think the U.S. has been knocking on the door for quite a long time. It's been some time since we've had some best-on-best tournament as far as the Olympics go with NHL players in it. So we got a taste of it last year with the Four Nations, and I think it just made everybody extremely hungry and motivated to come here, go to Italy, and get the job done.
Maria Dolores Aguirre's family cornerstone has lift-off tourism that has flowed into her charming cobblestone town of Tapalpa, tucked away in the mountains of the Jalisco state. Now, this was until gunshot erupted and helicopters flew overhead and the Mexican army killed the country's most powerful drug lord just a few kilometers or miles away from her home. Now, the 50-year-old Aguirre worries that the bloodshed will deal a blow to her livelihood and also change towns like hers. It is something, viewers, many in the western Mexican state are grappling with, from its Pacific Ocean beaches to its capital Guadalajara, that will host matches in June, only a few months from now, by the way, for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Meanwhile, listen to what Maria had to say.
Oían los truenos, o sea, las expansiones, no tanto como las balas no, pero sí se escuchaban ruidos, como cuando truena el cielo que va a llover, así, que decíamos, o sea, ¿qué es eso? No sabíamos qué tipo de arma.
The doors have reopened at the Sacred Heart Hospital and the cast of Scrubs are reuniting for a season-long revival. That's right, Donald Faison, Sarah Chalk, Judy Reyes, Zach Braff and John C. McKinley are reprising their roles in the beloved sitcom. Scrubs ran from 2001 to 2010 for 9 long seasons and aired its final episode in 2010. Now the original cast are reuniting for a revival of the series that puts them in charge of a new team of interns. Chalk says returning as Elliot was a trip. The cast, meanwhile, has publicly showcased their tight-knit friendship throughout the years, co-starring in other projects as well, and also hosting a podcast together and more.
Works because people know that it's not false. When we're laughing together as the characters, that's really us laughing. We crack each other up. When one of us is upset in the show, that's coming from a real place of pain in our lives. It's all pretty real, and I think that's one of the reasons Scrubs has been so important to a lot of people, is because it kind of comes through on screen.
Now, in a special behind-the-scenes video released, Amir Khan, who visited Arijit Singh's hometown of Murshidabad for the recording of the title track Ek Din, appears shocked to learn that the singer's break from playback singing, well, it's not temporary, but it's permanent. In the video, Amir and Arijit are seen chatting casually while sitting on the floor at the singer's house. The actor asks, "You are not taking on any projects. Do you want to take a break for some time, or do you not want to sing for Hindi films?" On hearing Arijit's response, Amir quickly says in Hindi, "Don't do this. What will happen to us?" Take a look.
You're not taking on any projects. For some time, you want to take a break. Or you want to not sing for Hindi films. ऐसे मत करिए हम लोग का क्या होगा भाई नहीं ऐसा नहीं
Neighbors, government workers and a powerful raid-load snow-clearing machine named Darth Vader scrambled to dig out much of the northeastern United States from a brutal and, well, in some areas, record-breaking storm that blanketed the region with snow and also resulted in thousands of flight cancellations. But as the snow moved northwards and tapered off in other areas Tuesday, forecasters warned that another storm could very well be right on the anvil and around the corner, in their words. Monday's storm, meanwhile, that scientists are saying they're in fact calling it the strongest in a decade, that dumped more than 2 feet or 61 centimeters of snow in parts of the northeast. By Tuesday, roads were beginning to reopen, mass transportation was coming back online in some cities, and power had returned for some of the hundreds of thousands who had lost electricity in cities across Massachusetts, New Jersey, Delaware, and even Rhode Island. Well, those are all the updates we could pack for you on this Tuesday edition of the World Report. Take care and have a wonderful day.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.
From the lens of diplomacy and foreign affairs, what is the transformation that you're seeking, not just next year, but in time moving forward? And what does transforming tomorrow mean to you, Dr. Jaishankar?
You know, obviously transforming tomorrow can have a variety of meanings to each person in their own profession or their call of calling, or as as an Indian, I can think of what tomorrow would mean for India. So if I were to put it all together, I mean, clearly all of us would like to see tomorrow an India which would be economically much stronger, which would technologically be much more so. And I feel, people don't always make that correlation as strongly as they do, which would, build up its manufacturing. That too is a conviction I hold very deeply, that, we should be an industrial power. But from my particular perspective, tomorrow where we are actually able to navigate what I foresee as almost a generation of uncertainty. After all, look at it this way. Many of the assumptions that we held just a few years ago, perhaps the key assumptions are all a question mark. We had an assumption that globalization is here to stay. It is, in a manner of speaking, but it is under severe challenge in many ways. We had an assumption that the United States will always be a stabilizer of the international system. I think that's a very questionable assumption.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are...
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.